So they are wide awake at 10 p.m. because, you know, Spain starts having dinner around 8:39, I think, at least a couple of times I was there.
I haven't had dinner yet.
You haven't had dinner? Oh
No,
my goodness.
no, it's too early. It's too early.
You're going to be very hungry. Then Friday. I don't feel jealous about keeping. I should have kept you. I should have had you join at your midnight, and it would have been okay. Yeah. That's okay. Some of us have gotten off work early today. So Nuria and I have actually been planning this for some time. I just, at least once a year, we at Plum Market like to do an event with Nuria because she's our own semi-homegrown wine importer, you know, a Spanish native who created her own company several years ago. And then we decided, since she was going to be in Spain, to, you know, we went back and forth on the subject, but we decided to do this area of the world. And we have Inma, who is one of the winemaking team. She's actually has her fingers on everything at Coto de Gomariz, and including export, viticulture, winemaking, and she was able to join us as well. And the tasting order is in the chat room, but I will repeat it. It is the flower and the bee, which is really easy to identify because there are little bees on the label. And then the other white with the big X on it, that's wine number 2. And then the red, the 2013 with the elegant, simple label is wine number 3. So, you know, times have changed. Most of us in America who are wine enthusiasts have heard we're drinking Albariño. And we may have even heard of a region in Galicia that is close to the Atlantic coast called Rías Baixas, which is, you know, has a reputation for being cool and rainy. So we are in the larger area, Galicia, that encompasses this new region. Well, it's not new, it's been around forever. And how old it is, Inma is going to talk about. But we're in a region that is adjacent to Rías Baixas, but further inland, and enjoys a much more Mediterranean climate. But we're still in the larger area of Galicia that is referred to as green Spain. I'm just excited that, you know, thanks to the internet, thanks to distribution, we're familiar with the Spanish grape variety, though we're going to hear about more native varieties today. And we're familiar with the region, and some of you may have even visited. I have been to Spain, but not to this area of the world. So I'm going to end up on Inma's doorstep one of these days. We're going to celebrate this region, Ribeiro, through the wines of one terrific producer, Coto de Gomariz. And I actually wanted to read you a comment, if I can find it. Hold on. That was written recently by a top, I will find it momentarily, by Condé Nast. Have you ladies seen that? It's quite extraordinary. Here it is. According to Condé Nast, this winery is essential to know for the avant-garde or for the rescue of tradition, depending on how you look at it, of this region, the Ribeiro. And they refer to the winemaker, Jose, as shrewd and brilliant in viticulture and enology, with his boss, Ricardo Carrero, directing. And that this winery has been a pioneer in revealing the potential of Ribeiro. So I was very excited to see that. So I wanted to read that out loud. Per usual, you know, keep yourself unmuted, muted unless you'd like to chime in which case, please do. We're not a big group tonight, though we're climbing. More people are entering the chat room. And we're going to try to keep it to an hour at least to get through all the wines, though per usual, we usually go over a little bit later, especially if you have interesting questions. Elaine made it, yay. And there's Amy, terrific. And there's my friend David Smith, who I'm going to embarrass by saying that he's been my wine event guest longer than any of you by a long shot, because Dave and his wife used to attend, well, they used to dine at my first wine job in Metro Detroit, La Fontaine, in the basement of the Renaissance Center, where Andy, I got to serve you too. So, and we're still alive and kicking and having a good time and enjoying wine. So I'm going to give it up momentarily to both Inma and Nuria, but I want to give you just a little snapshot of how special these ladies are. So Inma, who's joining us from her home in Galicia, was born in this region, Santiago de Compostela, which is pretty famous, actually. And I love that you said that your uncle and your father made wine, so the smell of winemaking is in your background, like a gene. It's very natural to you. She got her degree in chemistry, and you know, you worked for other people before you ended up here, including Rafael Palacios. That's pretty impressive. You know, he's a famous guy. And then a number of wineries from the Ribeiro region asked her to start a project for export. So she did that successfully, but she always had a special link with this particular producer, Coto de Gomariz. So this is where she has been for her 12th vintage now, correct? Since
exactly.
2009, which is wonderful. And then my friend Nuria is native, but she was raised in Barcelona, but to a Catalan Galician family. So, you know, you told me your father used to serve these wines for special occasions. So you've got a little connection to the region. She has a master's degree in mechanical engineering. I, you know, studied theater at U of M, and I'm listening to these two women with amazing backgrounds. And you speak what, 5 languages? English, French, Catalan, Spanish, 4, but all four fluently. And you're teaching your daughter, is she learning French too?
No, so far Catalan.
Catalan,
Spanish.
That's okay.
In Spanish,
you know, she came to Detroit because of the automotive industry, but, you know, for the last, what, going on 10 years, 7, 8 years?
17 years.
17 years. Have you, no, but how long is VinoVi?
With wine?
Then?
11 years. 11
years. VinoVi, she created this company. And if you read her bio, it's very touching because most of it talks about how she feels about her growers. And that they are, you know, what they do is an art form. And I love the fact that you say that they whisper beauty to us and that they are happy people and that they're all so uniquely individual, and you never direct them to change their wines for market needs. So, you know, it's very touching to me that you've been able to do that and maintain that, and you enjoy a lot of recognition in this area, Nuria. So that said, I'm going to share my screen and give us a little frame of reference as to where we are in the world. Hold on just a moment. And I have to put this on our slideshow. Hold on. In my next life, I'll be really adept at this, right? So this is something I just learned to do, and I'm absurdly pleased with it. Are you ready? We are going to take a little trip, so put your seatbelt on, to show us where in the world we are located. We are going to Iberia. We're going to just north of Portugal, and here we are at Coto de Gomariz. Isn't that beautiful, Inma? I just love this. You're right in the valley, right?
I love it.
It's just gorgeous. And you'll see all the different aspects, and Inma's going to talk to that because the winery harvests from, you know, multiple aspects, both red and white wine. This is larger picture of where we are in Spain, right? So this is Portugal, which has been ghosted out, but we're talking about right there. I mean, we're within hailing distance of Portugal. So here's the river, and these little purple subsections are part of what makes up Rías Baixas, but this is Ribeiro. This is where we are, on a tributary of the Minho, right, Inna? It's called Abia.
Abia Valley, yeah.
Abia Valley. So go ahead, Nuria, tell us a little bit about this area of the world before we talk about Gomariz.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Hi, Mike. Nice to see you. So as Madeleine was saying, my company is called VinoVi, and we are responsible for selecting people that are highly committed to viticulture. We don't intervene or interfere into the process of the winemaking. That is in Spain, as you know, we have the raw material of grapes, we have the different climates. So we're looking for farmers that they understand wine as viticulture. I was born in Barcelona. My father was from Galicia, so I spent all my summer during my childhood in Galicia. And that's very close to my heart. So when Madeleine said, let's do Spain, I said, what do you think if we do just Galicia? And the reason is Spain has a lot of regions. It's a small country, and we all get sidetracked sometimes with the, quintessential, like Albariño or Tempranillo. And Galicia really deserves to be discussed and enjoy 3 wines tonight. We chose Coto de Gomariz, and you'll understand, and hopefully you will agree by the end of the evening why we did that. That is focused on what they do, and they're visionaries. So as much as we like to discuss terroir, I believe the people behind the wine, who I call the visionaries or the pioneers, if they do meaningful work, it shows through the wine. So the vintage is important, the grape varieties are too, but at the end, they are the cooks of what we're gonna be drinking. So what they have in their mind as they take care of the vineyard, it's gonna be seen in our glass tonight.
Now, Nuria, you have wines. Are you bringing in wines from France also, or
I
strictly?
I do. So when I launched VinoVi 11 years ago now, I decided to stay within Spain, because I'm from Spain. I live in Michigan, so Detroit is my home. And through wine, what I have been able to accomplish is to bring my roots closer to home. And it's a beautiful thing to share that with the people that we are close to.
I have to taste your French wines. We'll do that at another time.
So if you look in the Spanish map on the top right of the slide, the capital is Madrid, which is quite central, so it's continental climate. I'm from Barcelona, which is the northeast, it's Mediterranean climate. From Barcelona, from a logistics standpoint, I'm much closer to the southern France, Languedoc-Roussillon.
Here, right?
Yes, which amazes me, the potential of what younger generations of winemakers are doing there. So once I established as a Spanish portfolio, I added some interesting producers from Fitou and Terrasse de Larzac and Collioure and so on from what I called La Catalunya North. So they speak also Catalan, which is the language that we speak in Catalonia. Galicia has its own language, and you will see that as we talk about the grape varieties and the type of soil. In Galicia, they speak Gallego, and that's what my father spoke, Gallego. So there is one region in Spain, like Catalonia, that we have our own language there.
Do you speak Gallego? You speak that?
I understand Gallego, but I don't speak it. It wasn't, and at school, it wasn't taught. So if you are from a region, you only learn the language from that region. So I would love to speak it. And I know one day I will. I just need to move there for a year, and then I will speak it.
Well, I bet
you see the green. Yeah.
I think for sure that Inma must speak it, right?
Yeah, I don't used to speak very often because we speak Spanish. My husband was living in Andorra. Well, he's from Andorra. He speaks Catalan perfectly as well, but at home we speak Spanish. And my parents speaks Galician, but when we moved to the south of Spain, we spoke Spanish most of the time. But I understand perfectly. I can speak, and I'm sure Nuria could learn quickly, because if she speaks Catalan and French and Spanish, it's a mixture of that. So
it's another Romance language, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, it's very close to Portuguese. If you read Galician and you read Portuguese, sounds the same, mostly change a few letters, but speaking is very different. The pronunciation is quite different.
So here we are. I think Nuria set you up beautifully to talk about a region that is not cold and not rainy, right? But is just to remind you to go up one more slide. Here it's in the southeast corner of Galicia, right? This is the Rías Baixas region, and here further inland is Ribeiro. So tell us what we're looking at here, Inma, this special place.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Very happy to be here tonight. Well, tonight for me, afternoon for you. Exactly. Well, we are in the middle of Galicia, in the south, very close to Portugal. Actually, if you see in that picture at the end, the mountains that are like a shadow, this is actually Portugal. So in straight line, we be around 50 kilometers. I don't know in miles, sorry.
That's okay. We're the only people that don't use the metric system. So
yeah, but Ribeiro is actually like, I used to say, and I don't know if it's very science, but it's like a depression in the middle of Galicia. So in fact, it's like a piece of Mediterranean weather inside an Atlantic region.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. Yes.
Yeah, because Galicia, it's the northwest of Spain, is very different from the general idea most of people have from Spain, no, like sunny, hot. No, Galicia is green, is more like Ireland. We have a lot of rain most of the year, and the temperatures are in general less high. But in Ribeiro, actually, in summer, we have very high temperatures. Sometimes even we have the maximum in Spain in particular days, what is amazing, no? Where
over
we are
100
here.
degrees, but then at night it goes down a lot, like 40 degrees. Exactly. So you have big diurnal shifts. Go ahead, Nuria.
And I have a little story to tell about this change of climate. My mom met my dad, and my mom from Barcelona, Mediterranean, warm summers. And the first visit to my dad's family, my grandmother helped her to undo the suitcase, the luggage. And my grandmother asked my mom, "Where is your summer coat?" And my mom looked at her like, during summer, you don't wear a coat, right? But in Galicia, the temperature drops at night, and you always need some sort of like a summer jacket, a summer coat. It's really, it rains almost every other day of your life when you're in Galicia.
London, yes.
Yes. And it's the temperature, I think, there is always a necessity to wear something on top of, of your t-shirt summertime.
But that's a great story. And Inma mentioned the rainfall, but here in Ribeiro, you have literally half of the rainfall of
Rías Baixas. Yeah, Rías Baixas is that regions in green you saw in the map before, near the coast. So they have directly the Atlantic influence in the vineyards. We are a little bit outside. We have that mountains in the middle, and that changed completely the microclimate of Ribeiro. It makes like a frontier. So in one side of the mountain, it's raining, Rías Baixas, but in the other side, it's very
it's a rain shadow. So
yes,
it's
just
a
like valley.
Rain shadow, like the Vosges is a rain shadow that protects Alsace. This is the same thing. So that makes sense.
Well, not so high, maybe.
Yeah, but still, it does the trick.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. So what we are seeing now in that picture is Gomariz from the front view. So we see more or less most of the valley. The winery is in the middle. Well, this not in this picture, it's a little bit here. But we have like orientated like in the south like a medium moon. No, it's
Well,
that's
like a
Gomariz.
half moon,
half moon,
Half
like
moon,
like an
exactly.
amphitheater, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And in so from in summer, since the sun shine to the sunset, it's the sun directly every day. So that's why people call the Gomariz the Golden Mile or Ribeiro, because it's usually where we can hide. It's like Coto de Gomariz,
Yes,
no, of
like
Ribeiro.
roti, right?
Yeah.
Of the Rhone Valley. So you have sun at different parts in the vineyards all day long in this Golden Mile, correct?
Yeah, exactly. All day sunny. It means that we have the highest alcohol, the highest sugar in the grapes. Well, that's the winery in the middle. And where is the winery? Talking about terroir, no, we talk about climate, very special. A lot of difference between day and night, more than 20 centigrades. That is great because during day you have a lot of hot producing sugars, but during the night all that the temperatures fall down so much that like allows the grape to tide things and makes the wines very fresh, very balanced. No, that's the secret of Gomariz. We have in a specific in such a quite a small place, we have three kind of soils that also make us to have a very complex, a lot of complexity in the wines. That side of the valley, actually, it's granite. That is mainly the main soil in the rest of Ribeiro. It's granitic sands, granitic sand soils. Actually, it's called sabrego most of the time.
How do you say it? Sabrego?
Sabrego. I can write here.
Oh, put it in the chat room if you can.
Yeah.
That would be great. We're seeing, by the way, terraces that you're gonna don't feel that you're not getting a good view, because momentarily you're going to see too much of them.
Yeah, and Ribeiro has a lot of ancient history of winemaking that we'll talk later about it, and native grapes that we will be tasting in all the wines that we're getting to do tonight.
So the schist, I'm sorry, the granite, is that good for the white grapes?
Well, actually, what we do is that we usually have planted mix grapes depending on the soil. So we have like different characters because if these vintage show something different, and then we decide the blends later. No, in that way we have that from one plot in the granite we usually have more aromatic wines, very fresh, but maybe lighter, sorry. Mm-hmm. And in the clay that is in the middle of the valley, we can get more volume, more structure, like fatty wines, no? And on the schist that is in the other side of the valley, we can get a very nice, very special minerality because the soils are very poor. So it's small productions, but very special concentration that adds also a very nice complexity in when we blend. No,
your English is spectacular. Yeah. You were shy about it, but you're speaking perfect wine English. What are we looking at
exactly
here?
In wine? In other conversations, I don't know.
It doesn't matter. This is your subject. What are we looking at here, Inma?
Sorry.
What are we looking at here?
Sorry. Yeah, this is the schist. This is the schist soil. That is a metamorphic rock. It's more laminate than slate, but we can get from here the concentration, very nice minerality. That's a piece of granite with the three compounds. It's very traditional in the walls, and that's the first wine we are tasting today, the Flower and the Bee. We call it the Flower and the Bee because it's the first thing that happens to become a grape. It's that the bees goes into the flowers, and that's the starting point for the wine, for the grapes, and after that for the wine. And for us, it was a wine that we started releasing when we start making export, because before that we never had a single varietal grape. it was always blends because it's the tradition. Usually it's a blend between in the whites, Treixadura, like a 70-80%, Godello,
It's on the
Albariño,
back
and
label.
Loureiro.
So turn the label around.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, because I love your back labels, Nuria, because they tell a story. We Americans like to know what the grape variety is, right?
Yeah, I think the best that I can do is to inform the consumer.
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
And
the Flower and the Bee is a wine that it didn't exist when I was growing up. Like when my dad used to bring home some Coto de Gomariz wines to toast for a special occasion, the Flower and the Bee was not around. It was always the Coto de Gomariz, you know, sort of like the flagship. When they launched those on the white wine that we're tasting tonight, the Treixadura, and the red wine, Sauzon, as Inma was saying, is to have a single varietal to showcase, you know, what the region is. But also it's very attractive for a younger generation, because as much as wine is part of our everyday life, and we don't really conceive a meal without a glass of wine, because it's part of food. You know, what we call gastronomy is not just food, it's food and wine, right? That got the attention, I think, to younger generation, you know.
it's a playful, cheerful label. But I'll tell you,
and the wine is clean. It has a beautiful texture. It's a serious wine,
it's a serious
in my opinion.
wine. Oh, I was just going to say, this is not, you know, a one-note wonder. You know, I've been tasting it for the last over 45 minutes because I poured mine early, and it smells and tastes, I was telling Inma, like honeys and peaches. And there's just enough acidity to keep it refreshing. But if you hold it on your palate, it has this wonderful, you know, just enough weight and this nice silky mouthfeel that is smooth. It doesn't need food, but you certainly could, you know, could
but
have
it goes better with food. Yeah. We think the wines are for sharing food. It's our goal. And I think Treixadura is a very gastronomic grape. Actually, the skin of the grape, it's thick. That white you can feel even without making a skin contact maceration.
So you
can
don't
feel
do skin contact. It's not phenolic.
No.
Right?
It's the grape. It's the grape itself that shows that structure. That's the Treixadura, actually. It's a size, medium size, still small between the Galician grapes. Albariño is the most famous grape from Galicia, right? All of them are very aromatic, a lot of terpenic aromas. Treixadura, Albariño is the highest in intensity, we can say, like perfume. Treixadura, Godello are a little bit less intense, but has more structure. So allows to make wines for keeping, wines for aging in bottle as well, and are more reductive.
You're gonna, you know, no, this is great. You're talking about something I wanted to find what you said because it's so important. You said, oh my God, and it just went out of my head. First of all, you said it's more reductive, meaning you're not going to get oxidative notes like this. You said terpenic. So when we talk about terpenes and then you refer to Albariño, I'm thrilled that you're talking about this. It means that the wine is floral. So that, you know, that's something that's a thumbprint of Albariño, don't you think? So that you often smell both fresh and dried flowers. And you get a little bit of that in this, but it's more of a back note. So is this a good example of Treixadura? Firm acidity, nice stone fruit, and a little bit of a honey.
Yeah, that's the point. I mean, what we exactly wanted with the Flower and the Bee wines, also the white and the red, that is Sauzon 100%, is to show the puriness grape that we could from Gomariz. So it's what it shows is the Treixadura like it is, without anything else. I mean, as you said, we are the cookers.
But Inma mentioned something that I want to make a point, because she talked about purity. And Galicia as a region, I think it offers a lot of purity when it comes to food. The potatoes are fantastic.
What do you do with the potatoes there? How do you cook them?
Everything. I mean,
wherever, even alone.
Yeah, when
with a little bit of olive oil.
Yeah, and you think as a child, you know, I always thought potatoes are potatoes. Obviously, with time I understood, right? the difference of any potato. But my grandmother used to FedEx my father potatoes from Galicia to Barcelona.
Seriously?
Seriously, and we got a little, not offended, but sort of like, what does she think, that we don't have things in
We
Barcelona?
don't have potatoes, right?
But she was right. I mean, the eggs, even the basic things, they're much better from Galicia. They have the weather, they have the soil, and there is a lot of purity. When I look at wines, that speaks to my values, purity. When I eat, the same. So Coto de Gomariz, it's a good representation of what I look for wine, and the purity that we're discussing now, that you'll see in gastronomy from the raw material from Galicia, you will taste in the wines that we're tasting tonight.
Well,
you don't have to hide and
no, there's nothing to hide. There's no oak here.
No.
There's no nothing,
No.
but the wine is expressing itself beautifully. Is this are these Tresadura vines on these terraces, Inma?
Yeah, not in the first terraces, but in the higher terraces. In the first is Ozon, and then after is Tresadura. Yeah.
So these are red grapes, and then we've got white grapes further up. And these terraces are old, correct? These are granite terraces that, stonemasons created probably centuries ago.
Well, exactly this one, no, in the next picture, I think. This is from Ricardo's father built it.
Coto de Gomariz goes back to the 10th century.
Gomariz, yeah,
yes,
the place, like a wine growing place. It was founded by the monks in 10th century. We have documents about it, and they realized probably was the sister order that always were, when they establish in a place, they look for something to do. Working was the play to the way to play God, no? So they saw the conditions for wine growing were perfect. So they decided to bring probably the knowledge some of them had from France already or from Germany, through probably the way of Santiago. That was a very impressive way of knowledge in that time, and they brought the knowledge to make the wines. And at the beginning, they established like farms. So every property had a house with a winery, with some vineyards that they have to produce wine, and then they have to give a part of that production to the monastery,
right? To the church,
like a duty, like taxes. And actually, it's very, very old. And sorry, that's just to introduce the picture we are seeing now.
No, I want you to talk about this, because I said we need to talk about food, and you said immediately sardines. So this is not necessarily a Spanish preparation, but sardines are something that are consumed often in this area. Yes,
in Galicia. Yes.
Everything around. Sorry, Nuria.
No, go ahead.
Everything about fish and seafood. We have Galicia is also very well known for the seafood, because we have the Rías in the coast of the Atlantic Sea that is perfect because it has a lot of compounds that the fish can eat. So it's very rich as well. It's very, very good taste.
So tell me, when you make sardines, how do you flavor them? Do you just do olive oil and lemon, or do you do something else? Do you put any?
Actually, they are like so barbecue.
Good. Barbecue.
Yes. Nothing, just salt.
Yeah. In some areas in Spain, you see them with garlic and parsley, for example. But the sardinas from Galicia.
Here in Galicia, it's very, very. Yeah, sorry, Nuria, to interrupt. That I was remembering because we are just next week is Saint John. San Juan. It's very
June 23rd.
Popular. Yeah, the night of 23rd, make a fire in the street, and people, it's like to purify spirits and things like that. It's very Celtic culture. And we make sardines just in the fire. It's very traditional.
So now it's when fire in the middle of the town, and people come.
So there is sardines. So the
neighborhoods joins, and they make a big fire.
It's the time of the year to get rid of your furniture or things that you don't want to use, because it's the end of the school year. There is always a fight in the family because kids want to burn their books, from school, because the school just finished. And you have those hogueras, fire that are in the street. And obviously the city, the police regulates, the height.
Right. It's not a
distance.
free-for-all. Right.
No, but it's also very common to do it on the beach, along the coast.
Yeah, in Coruña, for example.
It's just sardines and bread. There is nothing else.
Nothing else. And wine.
Yeah, of course.
You sound like Greek Spaniards to me, because we eat very, very, very simple food.
Yeah.
So I'm going, whoever's got the second white,
but in Michigan, I want to say something. When you look for canned sardines, please do me a favor. Read and only buy the ones that says in olive oil, because sometimes they come with other types of oils. And, even if the sardine had good quality to start with, it gets lost, so when you buy sardines in can, pay attention. Olive oil. And it's not that common to find it. Sometimes you have to really fight it.
Go to a specialty store. I will bet money that Plum Market has them.
Oh yeah, me too.
We have everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Quality.
Quality. That's right. Yeah. So I'm going to nudge everyone to pick up the Gomariz X. And Inma is going to talk a little bit about the people behind this terrific winery. And we're going to talk about this one. This wine, by the way, is mostly Albariño, but I'm going to tell you, when you taste it and smell it, and we'll talk about it in just a bit, it's very different from the Albariños that you will get from Rías Baixas. It's a very different mouthfeel, expression, aromatic, and I was really excited to show this. So Inma, who's the team? Go from the left. Who are we looking at?
Yeah, well, that's where we are. Like Nuria introduced before, we are people. I mean, we have faces. We are that people that is making the wine. On the left hand is Javier. He's caring of the vineyards. He's, I think, the most important guy in the winery. Then Gema is the secretary. Them is Ricardo Carreiro. He's the owner of the vineyards. He has nowadays almost 32 hectares in Ribeiro. That's a huge amount of vineyards to be Ribeiro, believe me. And most of them are in Gomariz. Actually, he's the fourth generation making wines that we know. Just in Gomariz, at least.
But his father started the winery, correct?
Yeah, we have to thank his father. Yeah,
his father started, also named Ricardo.
Yeah,
his father was one of the smartest persons in the region. He had to move to South America in the 60s, like many other Galician people, because the situation was a little bit bad due to the dictatorial system,
the dictatorship of Franco. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so the region was very, very poor. Orense is the poorest region in Galicia. So he moved to Venezuela, and he made a little bit of money because he was very, very smart. Yeah. And he had a lot of businesses, but always he had in his mind to come back home.
But 1 second, Galicia, because you have the coast, it was more accessible to escape through boat.
Oh.
Yeah.
So when you go to Argentina, when you go to Cuba, there is always a community of people from Galicia that they emigrated from Spain, escaping from the crazy.
Because they could get away more easily from than the other provinces that were inland.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And who's this guy?
That's Sebio, the winemaker, José Luis Sebio.
He gets a lot of good press.
Yes, he does.
Yeah,
he gets a lot of good press.
What, between the youngest? Well, no, we are not so young now. but yeah, he's 46 now, or no, 47. Yeah, but
very young.
Yeah,
he's very young. Yes. And here you are. This is a beautiful picture of you.
Yeah. This is me.
And this is this handsome.
This is my husband, Miguel. Yeah. We make the sales for the winery. We travel along telling the story about, because Ricardo doesn't like to go out or to, well, just it's very special. He likes to be at home. He likes to be in the vineyards. He likes to, and one of the things he has very clear that he wants to continue the idea of his father to recuperate the idea, well, the good ones from Gomariz, because
and the native grapes, right?
Yeah, exactly. He was one of the first in 1978 planting a vineyard just with local grapes, because
and this was
nowadays
Ricardo's father's idea.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, his father.
And that's what we call, visionaries, because now it seems like it's so obvious, but let's go back to 1978, right? With a poor economy, without, a bright future. Now Spain is part of the EU, and things, are much better than
things were just starting out in California at that time, in modern times. I remember that time.
Yeah.
So this is Sebio, the winemaker. Here's Ricardo, and this is Javier. Yep. And then this is you and Sebio, correct? That's great. And you said this is right when the pandemic started?
It's at the end of the pandemic. Yeah,
not the end of being confined, of the lockdown, because Spain went through 2 months of complete lockdown. You could not get out of the house, not even for a walk.
You know what? I know that some people that I know were there, and they had a very hard time getting back to the United States. But
Ricardo, in the moment we were closed, he was in Venezuela, and he took like 3 weeks to come back. It was
because the air traffic,
and we were all the time talking on the phone, looking for flights. Everything was canceled, and at the end they get a flight that was made by the government to rescue that people that were there. It was like a movie.
I have to say, before you tell us about this vineyard, let's talk about this wine for a moment, because it's very interesting to me. It has a little bit of what I think, I'm familiar with Albariño's florality, but on the palate, it has a very strong minerality, almost like Chablis. And that X refers to what? Schist. On the label, it says Viño de Encostas de Histos, correct?
So that's not a Spanish, that's Gallego. That's written in Gallego,
Oh, and what does Encostas mean?
Slope.
Slope, of schist slopes. So it's telling you right on the label. It's just gorgeous. I mean, you can serve this with any other white that brags about its minerality, about that, that thing that's hard to define, that always tastes a little bit to me like salt or saline, or smells a little bit like wet rocks. That characteristic that we associate with calcium soils in, Chablis, or frankly, all over the world. It's really unusual, Albariño.
And it's one of the wines that you make less production, right? Inma, it's only 400 cases.
That's one of the problems, because we only produce 5,000 bottles, because this is something we made with a vineyard that was planted with Albariño. Albariño is usually in the blend of the general wines we make, but we decided to make this like, well, a little bit of the, Rías Baixas, look at this, we can do that. But it's different. I mean, it's always the wine that prefer the sommeliers, because confuse people from what is more common in Albariño, no? Albariño from the coast, it's very acid.
Different.
Acidity is like this, it's very sharp. And here we have more around acidity. It's also high acidity, but it's more tartaric, because we are in a warmer place, so we can destroy all that malic into tartaric very, very easy. So it's much more balanced and has more body, more structure than a regular Albariño. Actually,
you like oysters with this wine very specifically, correct?
We decided to suggest that this is perfect for oysters because of that minerality and the saltiness and the density, I think, that has this wine. It goes very nice with the also the saltiness and that sea taste.
That sea
that
taste.
has.
Yeah.
But you know, I
Yes.
will say here, I'm going to get geeky just for one moment, everybody. This has a little bit of a phenolic character. This wine, when we say phenolic in white wines, we mean, I simplify it and say it's like white wine tannin. It isn't just the tartness on the sides of your tongue. It dries your lips out a little bit. So has this seen skin contact, Inma, or not?
No, it's not skin contact. It's just viticulture. It's why it behaves Albariño here in Ribeiro, well, in Gomariz, exactly.
Now
And
these are, we wanted to, and I'm going to interrupt you just so that we don't forget, look how small these crates are. So this is all hand harvested, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, we make the harvest by hand, obviously, because viticulture in Galicia is that every plot is very small. It has no sense to use machines. It's too narrow streets to go with a big harvest machine.
Tractor. Yeah.
And we make it in this plastic 18 kilograms cases to keep all the quality, the best quality, to go into the winery with the intact grapes.
And this is not uncommon. When you start seeing wine production methods around the world, you'll often see these small perforated crates, you know, so that the grapes, you can't get so many in them that they start crushing.
Yeah, you don't want them to crush before they get to the winery. You want air to flow
without control
in between. Yes.
Yes. And
exactly.
This is the winery with the beautiful arbor, and there are those same crates. I'm going to encourage everyone, if you've got the red, to start tasting it. But if you can, in the chat room, make some comments about the Albariño, especially if you've had other Albariños and you're hearing us talk about this minerality and a different kind of expression. Can you tell us how it seems to you? That would be great.
And someone said with the flower and the bee with manchego, what I think it's also very nice.
Yeah.
But you know, and I made the comment, everyone talks about red wine and cheese, and it makes me crazy because frankly, it's much harder to match red wine with cheese as opposed to white wine with cheese, because white wine has, and not just sweet wines, you know, so you get the sweet salty thing, but something like this where you have that bracing acidity and full fruit, you know, you eat on manchego's great because it's not too anything, but it's delicious, right? It doesn't have such a powerful flavor that it dominates the wine. It's not so hard and salty that it changes the structure of the wine, but just like a nice mid-range but stylish Spanish cheese. And all of a sudden, what happens? The wine tastes softer, right? Because of the fat in the cheese.
And the cheese
gets rid of some of that acidity. And frankly, the fruit flavors in the wine surge. So thank you for letting me give my opinion about white wine and cheese as opposed to red wine and cheese. But I'm telling everyone to go ahead and taste the red, but you need to tell us what slopes are we looking at here. These are terraces. Some of them are modern and some of them are ancient, right?
Yeah, that's a very good example of the history we have, because this plot has been the same plot for vineyard since 12th century, what is amazing. That plot belonged to the Cathedral of Orense, and it's rented to the family of to the Carreiro family for I don't know how many years, a lot. And we in some time we decided to build the new walls to make it a little bit more easy to work with small tractors, because if not, you have to make it by hand. And it's called a ferrada, with the pigeon's house in the middle. That is very traditional.
So what do you mean when you say, here's the pigeon house? So do they raise pigeons? This is where they live? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they grow pigeons probably for eating or to send messages, like in Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, they were using ravens, but In Galicia,
Yeah.
we were using pigeons.
Yeah.
What a
I mean,
great
I mean,
thought.
the region goes back to 2 centuries before Christ, as Ribeiro alone. Obviously, Gomariz, you know, as a sub-region within Ribeiro, it's not until the
Yeah,
10th
we
century.
didn't say it, but even the name of Gomariz came from the word Gomariza, and Gomariza is one of the parts of the vine. So
Oh,
it is
that's
from
right. It means, what does it mean? It means, I wrote this down.
Gomariza.
Gomariza is the vine.
Gomariza is the
shoot.
bunch.
Right, the
No,
bunch.
the bunch. No, sorry,
The
The
shoots.
shoot, the
The
shoots.
shoots, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what's interesting, and forgive me, we're talking about history here for a minute. One of you told me that it was wine from Ribeiro that was on the ships that Christopher Columbus, on the first visit to the New World, had on board, right? For
Yeah,
him
the first wine to
guys.
arrive to America
was Ribeiro
Ribeiro.
wine.
Yeah,
In
back in the
1492.
Yeah, back in the 15th and 16th century, Ribeiro was exporting a lot of wine to other regions around Europe, but also, discovering the Americas.
Yeah,
Now,
it was
this
the
is a
wine
great
of the
shot.
kings. Yeah.
You've got newer terraces here. These are very old terraces, correct? The darker ones?
Yeah, that's wine. It's probably centuries, that wall.
Yep.
And this, explain what this is, because this is a newer terrace from stones from the mountain, right?
Yeah, the granite stone that were used to make the walls came from the same mountain that it is. It was the last big project of Ricardo's father. He passed away in 2008. And when he had a cancer, at the end of his life, he wanted to see that finished. And it was because he wanted to have a big plot. It's very difficult in Galicia because everything is very small plots, and you have to go in the harvest to more than 40 different places to pick up grapes. And he wanted to have a big plot altogether. So each of that terrace, it's like a
1,
figurate.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these, right?
So
And
it's 6 hectares together. It's very, very big to be Galicia.
does everyone know what a hectare is? We're talking almost 2.5 acres per hectare. So how cool is this? So the vines on each of the terraces account for 1 hectare.
1 hectare, yeah.
Fantastic.
And each plot is planted with different grapes, looking for the best position and the best altitude for each grape.
On the slope.
For example,
wow.
Yeah, on the top usually is Godello, because Godello has the shortest period of time of ripeness.
It's a white grape, everyone.
It's a white. Then it's Treixadura, and on the bottom, on the first terraces, is Sousson, because Sousson has a long period of time of ripeness.
So
With
red
Sousson
on
is red,
white on
and
top.
we're
It's red.
drinking the red, which is half Sousson, and then it has other grape varieties like Ferrol and Brancellao and Mencía. But when she says the first terrace is the red wine, the red grape, Sousson. And we have to I like to thank the Carreiro family for making red wines in Ribeiro, because I even remember as a child when I was in Galicia, when we talk about wine and food, it's not always at the table. In Galicia, you go before lunch or before dinner, you go from bar to bar, tasca, and you ask for a glass of wine, and it's called taza, which is a cup, it's a kind of like a porcelain cup. And they pour some Ribeiro, and it's always white, always white. I mean, it's that tradition that still today, my experience is they associate Ribeiro with white wine. And it took the Carreiro family to be pioneers and start making red wines there. When you go to Galicia, which some of you, like Marshall, has been there, I don't know if you experienced that, but when you ask for a glass of wine, they always give you a free small taste of food, what we know as tapas. But it's not even like a half of a dish. It's basically a little something, and every bar changes every day. So one day this bar serves a little piece of tortilla, or dried meats or fish. So the idea of drinking wine without food, it kind of like doesn't go together for us. Yeah,
No,
it doesn't go.
actually, to your point, I'm always telling people when they're figuring out, they're asking us, especially during the last 15 months of 2020, I like to say, people who never cooked in their lives were coming up to us, buying a case of something and going, what do I make? What will go with this? And frankly, you know, we have the internet. If you look and see what people locally are eating with the wine that is produced in that region, it solves a lot of problems, right? And also, you know, it's very rare. We're a cocktail culture, so we're used to tasting wine without food, but it's unimaginable to people in regions like this to do that. By the way, this says 2015. If you look at your label, it says 2013. And what's amazing to me, we're going to talk about the red now, is look at the very rim. Let your eye travel from the center dark ruby to the very rim. There is no yellow in that rim. This is a wine that is telling you that it can handle and wants bottle age. Is that right, Inma?
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed the last word.
Yeah, the bottle aging of Abadía de Gomariz is amazing.
I mean, this wine is
exactly.
young. I don't believe that it's a 2013, you know?
Yeah, look at that picture. That's the Sauzon. It's a small bunch with a small grapes all together. So the concentration of color, tannins, and as it's great. Also, the grape itself has a high acidity, low pH, and with the right weather, with the weather we have in Gomariz, we can get the real ripeness of this grape. This grape is also called Sousao or Vinhão in the north of Portugal.
In Portugal,
It's usually
used
blended.
In production, right?
Yeah, in
so
Porto
it's a
wine.
small blue-black grape with a thick skin, but the tannins are very smooth.
Because we have hot enough to ripe them,
Get ripe
to make
tannins.
Yeah.
Now,
and that's why it behaves very nice here.
Somebody made the comment that it reminds them of Cabernet Franc. Can you tell us, can you talk about Sousson a little bit, and also the second grape, is it Brunselao? And what characteristics do they have in the wines?
Well, the body of the wine, the structure of the wine is made by Sauzon. Sauzon is 50% of the blend. Sauzon, it's like the skeleton of the wine.
Skeleton.
Yeah, it's where is the structure? It's that acidity, the color, the tannins. In fact, well, sometimes with Cabernet Franc, I agree. For me, sometimes the nose reminds me Syrah better because has that violet aromas.
Remember, I told you when I first tasted it an hour ago, it smelled a little bit like white pepper to me.
But it
also has some perfume, which Cabernet Franc has also. Sorry to interrupt.
Because it has both, has red fruit and black fruit, and also the freshness. Maybe I'm more agree with the Cabernet Franc from the Loire, of the freshness that's why in the north of France. But it's quite a blend of that two grapes. Also, sometimes the tannins and the freshness could remind Petit Verdot as well. But Brunselao gives us also character of floral aromas, but it's more a lighter grape. It has no that body. It's more just aromas.
It's aromas. So this is, look at the back label, and what you've got is you'll notice the grape varieties, thanks to Nuria, are listed. But you know, this is not unlike blending everywhere. You know, when you talk about Rhone blends, Grenache lends something, but not color. Syrah brings color and aromatics. You know, Monastrell brings tannin and concentration. So, you know, these native grape varieties to this area, Ribeiro, are giving us different elements. And this is a great picture of you in a red wine video.
Yeah.
What time of year is this? Is this?
That was actually when Marshall and Madeline came. for please, I have to congratulate Marshall for having that beautiful screen behind him all the time.
Oh,
Thank you.
wait a minute. We have to see this.
Yeah.
Marshall, where are you? Can you,
Yeah.
oh,
He's
got the
been
Gomariz.
playing with the background. He had the winery first, and now he has the label of the Abadía de Gomariz, which is
Been
good
playing
to
with it.
yeah. For all of us, it says, you know, if you look at the label, it says Dende o século X, which means, you know, since the 10th century, which we've been talking about that. And also it has the picture of what the Abbey of Gomariz, right? So Abadia means Abbey.
Okay.
And
So-
that was the oldest, you know, civil building for winemaking in the Iberian Peninsula. So there is, and in the label itself, you have that reference of the history of the oldest civil building in the Iberian Peninsula for winemaking.
In the Iberian Peninsula, we're talking
Yeah.
Is
about
that right, Inma?
all of it,
Yeah,
Spain
yeah, it is,
and
it is.
Portugal. That's
So
amazing.
you have the little escudo.
The coat of arms,
Yeah.
the coat of arms of the Abbey.
This
on the bottom
Dendo
here.
o século X
Yeah.
is since the 10th century,
In Galego, yeah.
right underneath Gomariz, right?
Yes.
So
And
I
then you have at the bottom of the label the image of the Abbey of Gomariz.
oh, you
Yeah,
mean
The coat of arms.
coat of arms.
Yeah.
The coat of arms. So let me ask you, I get to ask the stupid questions. It's my job to do that. Why is the word Ribeiro not on the front label?
Ribeiro.
Well, because we have on the back side here, this is the label of the appellation.
On
That
the
is
back,
the
on the bottom, on the
regulatory,
bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, the regulatory label that we have to give to Ribeiro.
Okay.
But that is always a good question. I don't know if you have time to explain. I would like to. I mean, Ribeiro has a very long history, but during things that has a long history, happens sometimes that they have bad things and good things. And Ribeiro has passed through many situations along the history, and some of them we are still trying to move them from the past. In one moment in Ribeiro was very famous, was very good region in the 60s and 15, 16, 17, mainly almost 18th century. But in some moment, they used the good name that was an established brand. We say like Coca-Cola, you know, it was very well known a brand to sell other things that were not from Ribeiro, and mix with other grapes, not the local grapes, and started planting Palomino, Garnacha Tintorera just for make volume. Mm-hmm. So nowadays the reality is that we have like two realities inside Ribeiro. We have very good wines like Coto de Gomariz, like VinoVi, like some other producers that are making things just with local grapes, and there are other producers making that wines very cheap, that has a bad image. Especially in Spain, because it's where it's more
Then I'm going to interrupt you and say, but that's just for Spain. You know, for Americans who like information down the road, you know, you might want to put it on the front label just because especially your wines are leaders in this area. And, you know, we learned about Rías Baixas by looking at it from the label. This is not a criticism. It's just sort of a suggestion from someone who loves consumers. You know, I mean, if you have someone that's excited about your wine and wants to remember it, right?
Yeah, but we
I think
more
the
like
back label
French...
provides that, right?
No,
the
no,
back
it does.
label provides
I'm
that.
just
The
saying,
type, Ribeiro, yeah.
You know how often I tell Nuria people, don't forget to look at the back label. I tell myself, don't forget to look at the back label because I can't find the information on the website, but I can find it on the back label. Now, everyone, I know we're after 5 o'clock. We've gotten through the wines, but please hang with us a little bit because we're going to continue the discussion.
So the pulpo la gallega.
Yes, talk about this because I asked the question, is this for the red wine? And they said, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is octopus.
Yeah, in Galicia, here in the region, is very popular, the octopus.
And look at Marshall's picture now, background.
This is
oh yeah.
Oh, does Does Marshall, I have to look at this. Does Marshall have, oh,
He
look at
changed,
this. He's
yeah,
got
he
an
changed his
octopus.
background to a real pulpo. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. That's in Fucella.
So you told me, what are you doing to this octopus? You're not doing very much to it.
No, it's just boiled
Mhm.
in water and then with olive oil, well, salt, olive oil and paprika.
And
And that's
paprika.
all.
And
Yeah,
this
and
is,
It's
Plum Market
usually,
sells it frozen, and I have to say it's pretty good quality. And I was surprised. And Galegos, you know, the local people in Galicia,
Mhm.
they actually freeze the pulpo, the octopus, so it gets more tender after it's cooked. So buying it in Michigan frozen, don't think you're losing quality. So it comes in the frozen area. It comes in a small pack, and you don't get the whole octopus with the head and everything. You just get the the legs. And if you just warm it up, boil some potatoes, olive oil, salt, and paprika, it's delicious. And taste it with the wine if you have the opportunity.
Fantastic. I mean, but frankly, the structure of this red wine, it's so full flavored because of the bottle age, because it has had time to express flavor. And the tannins are drying, but they're gentle, they're not hard. That I think that just that little bit of olive oil and the protein in the octopus, will be a dangerous combination. Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I have to tell the people before they go away, if you don't mind my commenting on what is coming next, and then we can keep talking. Is that all right? Let's see if I can pull up our website. I don't know if I can, bear with me, but I'll tell you what's coming next while I look for our website. Hold the boat. Let's see if I can do this. We are going to Chile next. We are going to a famous producer called La Postol. And if those of you who are familiar with Grand Marnier, which who doesn't know Grand Marnier, that is a household name. La Postol Marnier is the family that makes Grand Marnier, and we are going to have their director of winemaking for their Chilean winery called La Postol. And they make, they actually discovered about in the early 90s, some old pre-phylloxera vines in an area called Apalta in Chile. And they started their winery there. It was actually the lady in the family, Alexandra, who had to convince her husband, her father, her grandfather, and her brother to invest in Chilean terroir. And she did that with the help of, wait for it, a very famous guy called Michel Rolland, who, consults everywhere and probably on the moon too. But they ended up not only making spectacular Bordeaux style blends in Chile. Can you see this? Is it showing?
Yes.
Or is it?
It is showing, yeah.
Now, you can try to register online. I don't know if the wines are up yet, but this is in 2 weeks, July 1st. But we're going to taste, look at the prices on these, $12.97 and $49.97. I made this decision because this is a terrific producer that's making utterly accessible, delicious blends. This is Syrah based with Cabernet. And then this is a Bordeaux style blend. That's the second label from their ultra premium. And they now have their own DO, their own appellation, Valle de Apalta. So you can thank La Postol in no small measure for this. So this is happening July the 1st on a Thursday. And we're going to have, Andrea is in this case a woman's name. And she directs all winemaking and technical efforts for their properties in Chile. So I couldn't forget to say that. And the other thing I want to ask is if Mike Pfeiffer is still there, if you can speak up, because Mike carries all three of the Gomariz wines at Ann Arbor West, right, Mike? And, he's usually 1 or 2 steps ahead of the rest of us in terms of fine wine recognition from smaller producers. Can you speak up about this producer, Mike, and why you like them?
So, you know, I was led to them through Nuria. So some of you may know, some of you may not know, I used to work for Woodbury Wine. That's how I met Nuria. I have great respect for Nuria. I have great respect for what's in Nuria's book. The wines are in Nuria's book. I think that she is very selective in terms of who she works with. She works with smaller producers. She works with, as she said earlier, farmers who understand how to make wine. You know, the book or the wines that we're tasting today, all are through Woodbury, and I've been familiar with them for a long time. The Flower and the Bee is kind of the easiest. If it is an entry level, that's the Flower and the Bee, and they do make a Susan red that I also carry. But I just on the back label, if I see this on the back label, or if Woodbury approaches me with Nuria's wines, I take a serious look at them. I just think they're quality made. I think that the wines are balanced. I think that I think if you just see the back label and Nuria's back label is on there, you should buy the wine and just take a look at it. You know, as I said, mad respect for Nuria. I've worked with Nuria in events, and she is top of the line. She is fantastic, and has a great sense of place with winemakers. And you know, the book is fantastic. So Nuria, again, nice to see you. But you know, well done again. I'm looking forward to tasting the French wine. That would be fantastic.
Oh, but I better be there. That's all I have to say. I will make a lot of complaining noises, you know. But you know what? To one point, Mike is talking about Nuria as an importer. This is so critical to you as an empowered consumer, right, Nuria? You know, who brings the wines in, what selections they make. If you like these wines, then you know, and you've heard this woman speak passionately about how she selects the wines for the portfolio that she's presenting to us. You're really empowering yourself to make a point of knowing who the importer is, and in this case, Detroit-based.
Yeah, as an importer, it's important to select the producer. And sometimes I take pride of new discoveries. For Coto de Gomariz, I take pride because I'm honored that I can carry them, because it's a well-recognized producer in Spain. And to be able to bring it to Michigan, it's an homage to my dad in many ways, and it fits perfect in the values of what we do importing the wines. You know, we said before, you know, human being dedicated to viticulture. And it's not because of a wealthy background. And in this case, yeah, there is a lot of history in the region, but it takes someone coming back home and having that point of view, that dedication, hard work. It's always about hard work and then the rest, right? So Coto de Gomariz represents what I'm proud to carry.
Well, Inma, you were going to give us a little bit of a sense of what's next, because you're so involved with all aspects of production. So what is Nuria going to see coming out of Coto de Gomariz next? Do you guys have anything special planned, or what does the future hold for the winery?
Well, we are still in the process of growing. I mean, with the pandemic, everything moved, everything changed a little. But we still have to plant new vineyards, to replant another parts of vineyards, and to maybe grow a little bit, not too much, because we are only growing the size that our vineyards allows us to do it, and increasing our export profile. And I hope that we don't decide to make more wines, because we have a lot.
So can we come visit you? What is it like there? Are we easy? Can we find hotels and restaurants easily?
Well,
yes,
we can find
yes.
a few. We can find a few. Still, it's not like Barcelona or any
But
other regions
it's
in
even
Spain.
better. It's even better. It's
Yeah,
rural,
it's more
authentic.
quiet. It's very quiet, very rural. Still, you can find small villages almost all the time. But there are a few small rural hotels you can find, like with maybe 6 rooms, 10 rooms maximum. And to eat the traditional food, few restaurants in the cities, you can find still the good cookers. Not that it's also passionate in Spain nowadays about the new generation of cookers that we are very proud of. And yeah, it's to expand more like quiet times to walk, because there are a lot of places to walk or ride a bike or things like that.
Hikers, people
Yeah.
that like to be out in the nature and discover new places. That it's not the most typical area to go to Spain, Galicia, but I always recommend people. And we only talk about fish and seafood tonight, but Galicia is known for their beef, la ternera gallega. So if you are more into the meat part,
you won't be disappointed.
Not at all. Not
No,
at
but
all.
you also said the weather is very different there, correct? Can you talk about that very briefly before we say goodbye to each other?
Yeah.
Because it's
The
not.
weather is
buy an umbrella
special.
and buy a jacket.
Yeah. And like Marshall suggested, it's true. Santiago de Compostela is one of the most amazing cities in Spain because of the way of Santiago. All the pilgrims came from France during centuries. A lot of culture around Romantic art, a lot of monasteries, churches, beautiful abbeys. People that like art and culture. It's a beautiful place to visit as well.
And we had one question about the Albariño. Has this been seen any neutral oak at all, or is it all stainless steel or neutral?
Stainless steel.
It's all stainless steel. This wine can handle bottle age. You know, I think if you forgot it for 2 years, it's a 2019, it would go, okay, no problem.
No problem at all.
Right?
I agree with you, and it's something that I wanted to point it out before when you were talking about the phenolic taste.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's also, that's why the wine needs time to run. Our wines in general, they are not good to drink young. Mm-hmm. Actually, well, Nuria is very clever in that sense, because she always she doesn't matter if it's the old vintage. And sometimes we don't have them because we're selling the wines, but it's very good to keep the wine, even if you can bring 2 pallets and start selling the
older vintage, right.
Vintage before. Yeah.
Does anyone want to unmute and make any comments before we go away? Most of you stayed on. I'm always impressed by that. But the conversation was so great, and I want to thank Inma and Nuria for really bringing this region alive for us. You know, I feel like I've been there. Now, I have to admit that I'm a vegetarian, so I'll have 1 bite of octopus because I'm Greek.
We have good vegetables as well.
Yeah,
well,
goodness, not potatoes. I'm okay. You know,
Yeah.
Potatoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question for. I have a question for
Elaine,
Nuria. Yeah, I have a question for Nuria. I was introduced to the first wine, I think through you, Madeline, last year. Did you introduce us?
We used it on my on my tasting with my best wine friend, Evan Goldstein.
Oh, okay.
He told me to pick out a Spanish white, and this is the one I selected.
Oh, okay, and I loved it. I saved the bottle because it's so beautiful. My question for you, Nuria, there's a wonderful Spanish restaurant in Ann Arbor, Aventura. Do they carry your wines?
So Aventura does, but I believe they are, I think they're changing directions, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I was there on Wednesday. They reopened.
Okay, so they do carry my wines.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes. Yeah, they do.
So we can support you there. Good.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
Any other questions or comments? Unmute yourself, please. You've all been so, you know, our groups are just almost too well-mannered. We need you to be slightly rowdier.
All right, misbehave, please.
Misbehave
Yeah.
slightly. If you haven't, it means that you haven't had enough wine to drink. Marshall, you can speak up. But did anything occur to you after, revisiting these wines?
We forgot. Do we forget something to say, Marshall?
Yeah,
That you
Marshall.
find
All
when
I
you
want to
came?
say is that it is almost like a fairy tale land. When I went there, there was a fog over everything. It was kind of chilly, and it just added a mystery to the entire area. And it was just really interesting to see the terraces and see the old rocks and such, and the soil, and the wines are just so lively. I mean, they're just jumping out of the glass. I mean, I was amazed by all of them, and they have so many big, rich reds that we don't have here yet. Nuria, look into that. And I would love to see some of those too. But
that's my dream come true. Pre-sale.
Pre-sale, right?
yeah, but I
Yeah,
love
but
the brightness.
Cube Caco, for example, right? It's a good wine.
Yeah. No, my whole experience there was just amazing. I loved it. You're out in the country.
Do you remember any specific meal that comes to mind when you think of visiting Ribeiro and Gomariz?
Well, definitely the octopus, because they prepare it right in front of you. And it was, I mean, it was so quickly done. I boiled it for 60 seconds, took it out, cut it up and sliced and added the oil and the lemon and the salt and then a little paprika, and they bring it to your table and you eat it with wooden toothpicks. And we had white wine, but it was great.
I'm going to have to call the buyers at Plum Market and tell them we may have a run on frozen octopus. So that said, it is, 5:25. We have to let these poor women have dinner, remember? Yes.
It's midnight your time.
I am pleased.
11:30.
I am so
Yes.
happy. So I just wanted to invite you to come to Galicia now that I suppose all of us has your vaccine. And now we are in, well, this year is Saint year, so the Cathedral of Santiago is open to many pilgrims. It's a very nice place to visit. And of course, if you have time to come to the winery with pre-booking, we can show you the winery and the vineyards and show that pictures in life.
Can they do that on the website, or do they need your email address?
Yeah, you can go just on the website or social media, everything. I made everything, so it's going to be me to go to contact
you're going to organize it.
So since June 9th, Spain opened the borders to pretty much every tourist. If you're fully vaccinated to enter Spain, you don't need anything else. If not, you just need a negative PCR test. But recently they opened the borders to welcome tourists, which is a big part of our economy here in
absolutely.
Spain, right?
Absolutely.
And when Inma was saying this year is what's called the Xacobeo, right? When 25th of July falls on a Sunday, that becomes a special year for Galicia. And Santiago de Compostela is not far. It's what, an hour from you, Inma?
Yeah, it's almost 1 hour, 10 minutes. Yeah, depends on traffic.
And that's the cathedral where people take the whole way of St. James walking there. So it's quite of an interesting place to visit. The cathedral is open for everyone to visit, and you will see special events just because it's a Xacobeo year.
Well, don't be surprised if you see some of the people on this tasting there in the next year. Thank you for a really special, intimate experience. And by the way, just to remind you all 3 wines are in all 4 of the Michigan plum markets. And if they are out, they can get more from Nuria. Don't worry about
from me.
Yeah.
No, I'm from Nuria, and Nuria from me.
Yes. Well, thank you everyone for your company. Thank you everyone for your attention.
Thank you.
Always.
Thank you very much.
Inma, love you. Thank you. And hopefully
thank you.
most of you on July 1st when we go to Chile. and I get to put another Google map together, which makes me very happy.
Oh, it's nice. It's
I have to
wonderful.
practice it. Okay.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Inma. Thank your
Bye.
team. Thank Ricardo.
Of course, I will do it.
Everyone
I
for
will
the
do
job
it.
that they're doing. Take good care
I
of them.
bring their thoughts to you.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I will send you the
Salud.
Salud.
To
Salud.
everybody's health.
Amen. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Cheers, everyone. Cheers, Mike.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.